Hello, friends. Welcome to the Cold War Prepper. This is Lee. And tonight is our Tuesday night nonfiction book club. So we're doing When Crisis Hits Suburbia by Ted Riley. And tonight we are doing chapters 7 and 8. And that's going to be energy and sanitation. So two of my favorite topics. I do have a surprise for you. I learned how to do something on the computer, so this will be kind of exciting for me the first time to do it. Hey, little lone prepper, welcome. Good to see you. Which reminds me, I have not been to my mailbox now for almost 2 weeks. I need to stop by and check my mailbox. Hi, Diana, too. Welcome. Good to see you. We'll just wait a couple minutes while we're waiting for people to get in here. Let me tell you something. I've been reading this book about eating and food and dieting, or the diet, preparation of foods and everything else during the Great Depression. Amazing book. I have also been reading this one, alternating between the two. So this is General Flynn. And this is, I told you about that book from the two Chinese colonels, Unrestricted Warfare. So this is the American kind of answer to that and what they call fifth generation warfare. So that's been kind of exciting. Of course, I've been reading this one. I'm also got a couple. I finished the one that we're going to be reviewing not this coming Thursday, but the following Thursday for the end of month fiction book club, which is, I believe, book 6 for the American series, the Survival series. Been reading this one, Franklin Horton's Locker 9. So I'm looking forward to that. That's kind of getting in there. Then I have a couple others going here that I need to get started or got going. I have this one that I'm just about ready to get started on, the book on situational awareness. I think we're probably going to do this one before we do Off Grid by Ted Riley. We'll probably do this one next because I think we need to know a lot of the stuff that's in here. This is Selko Begovic. If you remember, he was the guy who wrote the original book, My Year in Hell, which was his year in the Bosnian Civil War. And so he is the kind of guy who started off all this I have been there, done that genre. So he is, in my opinion, the expert on surviving an SHTF situation. After him, then a second guy, Fernando Ferfal Aguirre, started writing about surviving the economic depression in Argentina. So this is his book on that. And so we'll do that after we do Begovic's book. And yeah, I pronounce it the Serbian way. So this would be a Hacek over the C, which makes it Begovic instead of Begovic. And but anyhow, so that's kind of where we're going to be going over the course of the next couple months. And gosh, it looks exciting. I hope we make it to do that. Clarity Jane, welcome. Hello, Tofu, welcome. Glad to see you here as well. Let me see, we're up to 10 people out there, so make sure you hit those thumbs up, and if you would, subscribe. And then if you like it, if you can ship it off to somebody else who might get something out of this, I would greatly appreciate that. So we're 3 minutes in, so it should give people enough time to get here now. Let's talk about essential number 5, or chapter number 7 in his book, which is energy. And so, it's going to be a grid down situation eventually, one way or another. So, he talks about the loss of electricity and what are some of the things that are going to happen to you as far as, hello, Clarity Jane, as far as losing your electricity. So talks about electric stoves, refrigerators, hospitals, communications, pumping gas, heating, air conditioning, entertainment, cell phones. I'll add credit cards, ATMs, charging things, internet, all that kinds of stuff, internet banking. All those different things are going to go away from you. And so that could be from a couple of different ways. That could be from a high altitude EMP. I have heard that there are 2 North Korean satellites that come over the US twice a day. So that could be a high altitude EMP, electromagnetic pulse, that fries our grid. We're also in a very active solar cycle 25. And so there have been some X class and a lot of M class, and some just barely into the X class coronal mass ejections. Hello, Manny. Welcome. And Robin in Virginia, welcome. Good to see you. So we have had some X classes. We not very many and not very far into the X class. We really don't want to see that many X classes, but we have been getting a lot of M classes. Gosh, have you seen what's going on? Go to US or earthquake.usgs.gov. The number of earthquakes, especially on the Ring of Fire in the Pacific Ocean, is just phenomenal. Earthquake activity like you would not believe. Volcano activity. Would you believe that there was a 2.2 earthquake in New York City over the weekend? I mean, the stuff out there as far as what's going on with the Earth is just totally fascinating. What's going on, but it's not looking good. It's not looking healthy for the Earth. Dragon Slayer, welcome. Hello. Then we also have, so we've got the EMPs, we got the CMEs. We've also got the ability that they say that if there are somewhere, some say 7, some say 9 of these mass distribution centers, the substations, that if 7 or 9 of those are taken out, then the whole U.S. grid goes down because of overloads and the inability to reroute and everything else. Now, put that in context with the fact that there's 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate, which is a high, that's what was used at the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. So, you can imagine what could happen with that. So, hello, Error 404. Those are just some of the things you need to take into consideration as far as if the grid goes down. Let me tell you, it's a fragile grid right now. We found that out during both Ice-Mageddon 1 and Ice-Mageddon 2 here in Central Texas. That is what caused me to take some of the steps that I have taken. So let's see. Then he says, take a look at your backup power options. So number 1, you can get a portable gas generator, like a 5 kW Honda. I have one out in the garage. I actually gave that to my daughter, and then she has returned it because they're leaving here and they're moving out of town. So she returned that to me. Hello, Pat Butler. Whole house generators. Generac is probably the number 1 selling whole house generator. I noticed when we were at Costco today that Costco can get you a Generac whole house generator. The nice thing about that is they are powered by the liquid petroleum gas or natural gas that comes through the lines going into your home. So we had natural gas during Ice-Mageddon 1 and Ice-Mageddon 2. And so we were able to keep the house warm by using our stove. Actually, we use the oven rather than the stove because the flames can actually take out the exhaust fan and the microwave up above those flames if you're not careful. So we use the oven rather than the stove. But the Generacs use the available natural gas to heat your home and everything else, and to power it. Then, of course, you have solar panels and you have wind power. We don't have wind power here, but I did. So what I did was I found out how to do this. Watch this. This is my report for my whole house solar system for as it stands right now. This is current and up to date. So you can see we have 24 total panels on our system. So far today, we've generated 38.41 kilowatt hours of electricity. We've consumed, so let me show you where we are here. So this is, the blue dot up here is the 38.41 hours of anything in blue we produced, anything in orange we have consumed. So you can see that today's been a rather weird day with some overcast. And so the difference is where you see the dark blue, that's the amount of total generation that was, whether it was exported or imported. So the darker blue is where we were positive. We were generating more than we were consuming. If you take a look at the lighter blue, then that is, you take away what was consumed away from what was produced. And so then the dark blue is what you've actually exporting to the grid for that time. Likewise, down at the bottom, if you take a look during the nighttime, we aren't producing any electricity. So you see a whole bunch of solid dark orange bars, and that's when we're consuming more than we're producing. Then down as you go on towards the middle of the day, you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of lighter orange, and so those lighter oranges pretty much correspond to the blue bars up above them. So the lighter shows that we consumed it, but it was powered internally, or that as a result of that, it was we the darker it means we've consumed more than we produce. So let me just kind of scooch down here. It also shows you where we are as far as our battery, our backup battery. So um, if the web were to go down at nighttime, or the grid were to go down at nighttime, during the nighttime we would be using the battery. So this kind of shows you where we are with that battery. So we are at 90, we're at 100% charge right now, and haven't used any of it, and we're not doing anything over the day. The 5 kilowatt hours, or 5 watt hours, not kilowatt hours, kind of seeped out and just went away. And so you see that we had to recharge that. So that's kind of where we are. Let me get back over here and up here. We'll get up here. There we go. It also shows that it's 83 degrees right now and partially cloudy, but we are getting rain. So go back over here and back over here. So that's kind of how you have, that's what we get for our whole house solar system. I would not recommend the company that we are currently using, which is ADT. This company that did the first 16 panels and the battery backup was a company called Sunpro. Phenomenal company. I still have a Better Business Bureau complaint out against ADT Solar for the additional 8 solar panels that they installed. They were supposed to be installed by May 15th, the middle of May. They didn't get completed. I'm sorry, January 15th. They didn't get completed until May 15th, which was 4 months after projected delivery date. And so the only thing they wanted to offer me as compensation for that was a couple months worth of what the panels would have generated had they been installed. So ADT doesn't care about earning your service. Sunpro did. So I am working with my neighbors. We have 3 different houses here right here together that are all on solar with battery backup, part of our group. So I'm going to get with them and find out. Everybody used a different solar provider installer. I'm going to talk to them about theirs, and we can see if we can't get you some good people to help you with installing your solar systems. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Let me show you some of the other things I have. I have a solar powered refrigerator freezer, and I have 2 extra panels for it. Another thing you might want to consider is you can get one of these little hand cranks. This is the Roadrunner. The one thing I will tell you, I really don't care for this that much. I prefer my other model. The Roadrunner, this little switch here, it goes between shortwave, AM and FM, but it doesn't click. It's just kind of a slide, so you're not really sure which one you're on. What I do like about it, however, is the fact that you do have a hand crank. So you've got a battery, you've also got the solar charger on top, so you can leave it out in the lawn if you want to get it charged. You can hand crank it and generate electricity. You can, as you're generating, you can use the flashlight, you can use the radio. So this is a good little solution, not that expensive. I think it was $29, $30, not that expensive, but that is a good one. It does have the USB ports back here so that you can plug it in and at least charge a flashlight or a cell phone or anything else you might need to if there is a big power outage. So that's one option. I can't find my smallest solar charger. This is another option. This is the one that I bought for my big bug out bag. So it's got a flat solar charger here, and this is good enough for your battery, for your flashlights, or for your cell phone. I also have a bigger one, the Goal Zero, big honker. So the reason I like this is because what I can do is if I have to bug out, these solar panels, I can just lay them across the back of my bug out bag and then collect and charge things because it has an internal battery as well. and I can charge that battery and charge anything else that might be plugged into it while I'm walking, while this is draped over the back of my bug out bag. Now, there is another company that does the exact same thing, and that's Frog and Company. And I sold a lot of their products when I had my store. So this is a little bit smaller version of that, and it unfolds so you can see what it does. So this is the battery pack up here. You've got 4 solar panels, and you can just kind of do the same thing. It's got these nice little carabiner clips, so you can hang that right on the back of your backpack for your get home bag or your bug out bag or whatever, and let this hang over the back of your backpack and collect the solar and convert it into electricity as you're walking. So both of these do have batteries in them, so which is great because you can charge the battery and then later on use that battery to charge something. So when you get your flashlights, I'll show you here. This is Nebo, and I used to be exclusively a Nebo fan, but I just threw it away. I have one Nebo flashlight that you turn it on, and just the on-off switch won't work, and they won't replace it. So I'm switching away from Nebo. But if you take a look down here, this has got a lithium-ion battery inside, so you can recharge this with one of these solar chargers, and that's phenomenal. I am switching over to Olight. So this is my Olight, and if you take a look, it's got the exact same recharger down here that is USB plug. So that will plug into my recharger systems, and I can recharge that at will. So that's all 3 of those. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you, and as a matter of fact, this is going to be, this is a power pack. So this is the Power Add Pilot Pro 3. And this gives you 4 amp hours of electricity. Once you charge it up, you can charge it up by either plugging it into your 120 outlet, 110, 120 outlet, or you can use a solar system and you can charge it that way. Yes, Diana, too, it is extremely expensive. And so the only time I buy Olight is when there's a 40% off or higher. I don't have an endless supply of money. So unless they have a 40% or higher sale, I usually don't buy them. And then I only buy 1 or 2. So I've got I bought one for the light laser for my rifle. I've got this one. This was 40% off. This is the, what's it called? I forget the name of this model. But anyhow, it was when they were first introducing it, the Arkfeld. They were first introducing this. It was a brand new design. And so I got it. But it's got the combination flashlight and two modes for the flashlight. I think it's 400 and 800 lumens, and then a laser pointer. And so that's why I got that one. Then I do have a third one, which is a really small one that fits on the brim of your hat. So I've only got 3 Olight flashlights because I really can't afford that much. And I think I'm kind of flashlighted out. Yes. So Manny, I've got 3 of those little free giveaway flashlights because I made 3 orders. And so I've got the little bitty key ring flashlight. As a matter of fact, I had to use mine when we got home last night. We forgot to leave the lights on when we were out. Let me check on comments here and check on people. And might be able to get generators on the cheap because states are not allowing them. Oh, really? My concern is that Russia's trying to take down the U.S. economy. Mine is not Russia. Mine is China. China is actively trying to take us down, and they're trying to replace the U.S. dollar on the world economy with the Chinese yuan. They've already done that in the OPEC countries. So it used to be that all the oil was traded in dollars, and now it's switching over to yuan. So yeah, I really agree with you that the fact that let me see here. Error 404. I agree with you. The fact that they are trying to take down our economy. Where I slightly disagree, although it's one of the 2 big baddies that there are out there, is I believe that it's going to be China more so than Russia. And but yeah, our economy is on the brink, and that's all there is to it. Always good to see you, Holly. Yeah, so that's provided with your whole house um, solar system. The problem is if an EMP or a CME happens, all of this is internet based that I showed you as far as the reporting. I don't have an actual digital report screen out on the battery out in the garage. So I can't tell you how much electricity I'm generating or consuming or anything else. All I can do is take a look at, there are 3 cells in the battery, and I can take a look and see whether or not there is, how much percentage of electricity is left in the cells. So theoretically, what's going to happen is I won't be using that much electricity at nighttime. I'll be using the vast majority of my electricity during the daytime. So that's when the solar panels are going to be active. So I asked that my system's designed so that the hottest month of the year when the air conditioner is running the most, I took that amount of electricity and I designed my system so that it's 90% of that max, which would have required 22 panels. They do everything in multiples of 8, so I'm at 24 panels. So I have the same amount of electricity being generated on a good sunny day as the hottest day of the year here in Texas. So that's more than enough to run what little electrical things I want to run, and as well as a plug-in room air conditioner, and recharge things, to include recharging the battery if I need to use it for lights or anything else at night. Probably don't want to use lights at night that much. We'd probably rather use flashlights and things like that. We don't want to give away too much information to people, as far as how much electricity we have and whether or not we can see at night. So we want to kind of avoid that. Okay. So Air 404 kind of agrees with me there. That to sit in the dark and let the people around me go. Okay, but anyhow, let me get back to this power ad. So the company asked me to do a review of this. I did a review of it about 6 months ago. It's a great little dolly. I was never able to use all the power on it when I was trying to recharge my cell phone. It took right at 2 hours for my cell phone from total drain back to 100% power. Using this, and I only drained about 40% of the power that was on it. So you should be able to get 2.5 full charges on an iPhone 13. Okay. So anyhow, this is going to be a giveaway gift when I get to my 5,000 subscribers. So this is going to be one of those giveaway gifts. So look forward to getting this. Spread the word, get me more subscribers, and we can give that away even quicker. And let me see here. I did not get deceived on anything. They were very straight up. I did mine in phases. So the first phase was the 16 panels. The second phase, because I just couldn't afford to do everything all at one time. I had to do it as I saved up money. So after phase 1, I was saving up money for the battery backup. My mother passed away. I inherited some money. I put that money towards the battery backup. Then we got some other things, and then a short while later, we disposed of some property that my parents had invested in. They had property here in Texas, 2 or 3 locations, and Florida, and everything else as investments. So when those all sold off, and I got the money for that, then I was able to get the additional 8 panels. So I lucked out. Gosh, that's a terrible way to put that. I wish I still had my parents, but the proceeds from not having my parents are basically what has provided me with the whole house solar system that I currently have. I also have a solar powered refrigerator freezer that I got. That was something that Pinball Preparedness had recommended. He gave me a link, and it was on Wellbots. So I bought it from Wellbots. I used a firm, so it's an interest-free loan that you can get on Wellbot's site. So I was able to get that solar-powered refrigerator freezer interest-free, pay it off in 6 months, and it was about $100 a month. So it was about $600 refrigerator freezer. And then so that I just got noticed the day before, Friday, got a notification Friday. That was my final payment. So that's now paid off, which is great. Um, okay, so yes, I agree. I like Goal Zero. It's a good company. They've taken good care of me. I don't know, Hello Tofu. I don't know. The smaller battery packs like this frogging company, um, I have not yet used it. I have them there. I probably will use it as I was bugging out. I don't like to keep things charged because with lithium-ion batteries, you have to totally drain them and then recharge them again about every 6 months. So the best thing is for me not to keep them charged in the first place. It says here, however, that I thought I saw it on here somewhere. The average time to charge a cell phone was about 2 hours on this frogging company, and that's this one. It has the large, drop down 4-panel charging array. So I'm going to say probably somewhere in the vicinity of 2 to 3 hours to get it fully charged, 100% charge. Let me see here. I think we're kind of in agreement with each other. Yes, as a matter of fact, I was afraid. It took 40 minutes. I was on the phone with my insurance company. We have significant hail damage from the weekend of the 27th, 28th of April. So I'm going to get a new roof. And the roofing company that I chose is also a solar company. So they do roofing, solar, a lot of different things. But we have significant damage from hail and from winds as a result of that storm. None of the panels are cracked or anything like that. So, really good there that they held up to the hail better than did my screens, my air conditioner, my fence, my roof. They got torn up pretty good. None of the solar panels are cracked or anything else. They're in perfect condition. Yes, they are insured by my insurance company with a $500 deductible. It used to be 2%. And then when I got the 24 panels, I took it to a $500 deductible. It's crazy expensive for the insurance, but I think it's going to be worth it. I'll have to check into that. Thank you. Let me write that down, Manny. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Um, and then I'll see if I can't get an electrician to hook that up for me. I also want to get the EMP shield and put that on in between my battery and the solar panels, and then get it at least on my pickup. Um, Here's what I can't, and I also have a Jackery 2000. I have not yet used it. I have not yet tested it. I did set it up. I found out that it's very easy to set up. I imagine that would do very well as also. So that's another source of solar power that I have available to me. I'll probably get that charged. The problem is here in Central Texas, April and May is when we get the vast majority of our rain and everything else. We'll get an ice storm in February. We'll probably have very overcast skies, usually around Halloween and then for the month of December. The rest of the time, it's solid sun. So what I have to think of with the energy pack with solar is I need to be able to last up to 7 days with minimal sunlight. So I have to look at a whole variety of options because we can go 7 days with overcast skies and and not have that much available to us. I don't even know. Let's see what it says as far as overcast right now. It says we're still partly overcast. So I do know that I'm getting lightning reports within 10 miles of me. So that's another one of those fun things that we get here in Central Texas. Um, so I have not tried anything other than this one where I agreed to do that test for the company. And I plugged this one. I did not do this one through a solar panel. I plugged this one into the wall, and it took 2 hours to get it 100% charged. then I ran this from here to a totally depleted iPhone 13, and it took just a little bit over 2 hours, I won't say right at 2 hours to charge my iPhone, 100% charge. Haven't tried the others yet. I'm going with the specs on them. Um, but I will definitely do that. I'll do a test and we'll see how long it takes, and I'll let you know that. So there's two questions that I'll have to answer with that. Number one, how long does it take for the actual battery, the cell in the system, to go from 0% charge to 100% charge? So that's question number one, and I'm going to do that. Wait until I have a really sunny day to do that test. And then question number two is, how long will it take to discharge that to recharge an empty cell phone? So I'll have to maybe I'll play some good games or something and get the cell phone down to zero, and then we can kind of give that as a good test and see how that goes. So, okay, let's see here. Um, so Manny says he uses a firm also. Um, Actually, little lone prepper, that as long as you don't get into analysis paralysis, that's okay to overanalyze. Um, I will tell you, back in the Vietnam, everybody had a stereo system, and it was something to see guys arguing over the percentage of, 0.01% better wow and flutter, percentage wow and flutter at decibels outside the human hearing range. But that was enough, arguing over whose system was better among soldiers, back when the stereo heydays, back in the early 70s and up through, I guess, the mid 80s. But gosh, guys would get into fistfights over whose stereo system was better, and with imperceivable differences in areas outside the human hearing range. So, yeah, that's what I consider overanalyzing. Um, I just got a Sansui 8020 dB receiver, and then I had Sansui turntable and Yaesu. No, I forget what I got for a tape deck, and then I had a TIAC A2300 sound on sound, reel to reel. Hey, Utah Mike, welcome. Really, I haven't heard that, and we've had our solar now with USAA for, gosh, 3-4 years, and no problems whatsoever. I am extremely happy with USAA. I've been a USAA member now for going on 50 years, maybe even longer than 50 years. So we do everything with them: home insurance, auto insurance, you name it, investments, the whole bit. The little known prepper with the gas generator, there is something that Toolman Tim turned me on to. I was using Save, what's the name of it? I forget it. Save something, gas additive to store it. And he turned me on to Pri-G, Pri-G. And he said that with that not only makes your gasoline store a little bit longer, but will also regenerate gasoline that you didn't put an additive into and make it usable. So if you're going to get it and you're going to store it, make sure you get some good additives to increase the overall lifespan of your gasoline. Wind is a great solution, and there are some systems out there that sell the wind turbines. I think I was at Harbor Freight, and I saw that they are now selling the Jackery line of solar systems. I believe they also have the wind turbine conversion that's also a plug-in for your Jackery. So yes, I agree. Wind turbine is fantastic, especially if you live in a high wind area. Of course, it rips the shingles off our houses here, so I imagine I should be able to get enough wind generation to store up for a year. Yes, I am scared to death to store too much of flammables or explosives, and so that can be, butane, gasoline, all that kinds of stuff. I have a special storage area outside of the house, and then I'm also afraid of having too much explosives in the sense of too much ammunition in the house. There is a point, and I don't know what the point is. You have to check with your insurance company. But if they find out that you have exceeded what they consider a safe level of ammunition storage in your home, and something happens to your home, they can deny insurance for your home. Um, all right, I'm jealous. I wish that I had a wood stove. Although I did, my main thing is I really, really, well, heat, of course, but I really, really want some sort of a good oven. I've been looking into those UV pizza ovens to cook bread, but then I found this fantastic recipe that you can do in basically a cast iron fry pan. Oh man, it looks great. I got to try it and see what happens. Um, So I will tell you. Let me tell you my experience, Dragon Slayer, with gas and propane. My emergency services trailer. I had a 34-foot kitchen trailer, and it was propane powered, and I had a propane generator on it. So with propane generators, I had an Onan 5 kW silent, and it was a fantastic generator. Loved it. But if you didn't take good care of the spark plugs, if you didn't take good care of the air filters and the oil and the gas filters, and then all of a sudden, if it went foul, you would suck up propane like you would not believe for very little generation. Um, so just make sure that if you're going to get a gas generator, whether it be propane or whether it be regular gasoline, make sure you also stock up on air and gas and oil filters and extra spark plugs, and make sure you have that. I think I was changing the spark plugs in the Onan for propane every 2,500 hours of use. No, every 1,000 hours of use. It was every 1,000 hours I had to replace, the filters and the spark plugs. And so but it's a fantastic system. I loved it. That 5 kW was just it did everything I needed. I had a commercial freezer, refrigerator. I had a vegetable refrigerator. I had the air conditioner. I had a heat lamp, cash register, lighting. Never had any problems. It always had enough electricity for me. So 5 kW, I think it should be good enough for almost anybody. Uh huh. I agree. Dual fuel is fantastic. What I'm thinking about doing, Manny, is actually converting my back porch. Uh, Here in Texas, if you take a look at most of the settlers when they bought homes, so the house is going to be, if you imagine, you got the house, and then the middle, so it's divided into 3 rooms. So the middle room is open air, okay, and then your entrance into the other two is from the insides. So 1/3 is going to have your stove in it for cooking. The other one's going to have the stove for warming, or I'm sorry, chimney, fireplace and chimney, and the other is going to have the stove. And so that way, in the summer, you could cook on the stove and not heat up where you were going to be sleeping, because it gets downright hot here in the summer. So, um, I'm thinking about Helen's laughing. Helen's giggling. Today was too hot for her. I think it got up to 91 today. But um, so that's how the settlers handled it here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'll have to kind of enclose my back patio and use that as my cooking area. So a wood stove there, if I can get that uh, exhaust, the chimney of the stove outside of the area of the patio, that would be fantastic. I think that would be my number one solution. Okay, one more question, and then we're going to switch over to the other topic for tonight, which is going to be hygiene. So it talks about making yourself first, get yourself a blackout kit. And uh, Yeah, so you're in agreement pretty much with the Onan 5 kW propane. It is a phenomenal piece of equipment. Um, now, what I will tell you is make sure if you're going to have a gas or a propane heater, I'm sorry, generator, consider the exhaust. Okay. So on our trailer, the exhaust for the Onan generator was directed under the trailer. Not good in the summer in Texas. In the winter in Texas, great. It gives you good heating. Consider, where's that exhaust going to go? And if you can get the exhaust directed away from whatever it is you're in, then, that would be fantastic. Hmm. Oh, wow. I think what they want to do is they want your solar system to face south. And so they want it to be on your southern elevation. And if not, then the east and west are okay. You don't want it on the north because the sun never comes up high enough in the US to where it's going to fully engage those solar panels if you have them installed on the northern elevation. You'll get very minimal production on them. So they want them on the southern facing elevation is the preference. Okay, let me see. So they say get yourself a blackout kit, and the blackout kit should have flashlights, lanterns, candles, power banks, and the emergency radio. Okay, so with that, let's switch over and talk about hygiene. Helen and I were talking about this today, and have we put ourselves up into a position of failure where we have become so hygienic that we have lost some of our natural capabilities to fight off germs and infection. So now we don't just wash our hands, we use hand sanitizer. And I mean, you've got antibiotic soap and all this other kinds of stuff. What's going to happen to us when all of a sudden we stop using antibiotic soap and hand sanitizer and we just go to rinsing or worst case scenario, some other types of soap? And so, I mean, have we, with our modern technology, put it to where we may be endangering ourselves once that modern technology goes away? Yeah, the weather changes all the time. Here in Texas, the saying is, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. So, when we talk about that, he's got several different formulas in here for how to make soap, how to make dishwashing soap, how to make simple toothpaste. Let me see, prenatal stuff that you might need, how to make deodorant out of arrowroot, baking soda, and lavender oil. He talks about showering and bathing. One of the things, I was in Monterey, California, for language school for 3 different 1-year tours. Indonesian language for 1 year, basic Russian for 1 year, and then intermediate Russian for 1 year. And one of the things is California, of course, has very loose restrictions on water. So I learned how to take a shower with only 2 minutes of water because of the water rationing that was going on. We actually had timers installed in the shower. So you push the button and you started to get water out, and then you turn it off. You get yourself wet, just wet enough to where you could then take the sudsy soap, lather up, and then you're going to use about 1.5 minutes of your water, half minute to get wet so that you could soap, then 1.5 minutes to rinse it off. So you only got 2 hours of water to shower. I have a feeling that's going to be the same thing we're going to have in a post-apocalyptic environment. I've got one of those. Who makes it? I forget who makes it. It's an outdoor camping shower that you hang up. But here's the problem with that. Remember, you're going to need somebody far younger than me in your group, because if you've got a 5-gallon, which is not very much water really to shower with, and that's going to be almost 40 pounds that you've got to lift up and hang on a hook in order to have that gravity water come down for a shower. So I have a feeling most of us are going to be, the old sponge bath type things, and showers are going to be rather infrequent. Um, Hot showers are going to be very infrequent, and unless you have a solar system, and I'm talking about a solar water heating system that's going to heat that up. So, um, yeah, if you have pressure in your water system, Manny. So Manny's saying that they were just talking about that today. Uh, Let me see. Okay, so let's get back up here. And Little Lone Prepper says she has one of the propane wall heaters, which is fantastic. Um, yeah, so using the garden sprayer, it all depends on the available water pressure in your water system. So most municipal water supplies, you could be on a well system, with your own solar powered well pump. I don't know, but I will talk about municipal water systems. What they do is they pump the water up into some sort of a stand tank or into some sort of a um, large cauldron or a tank, and then they use the pressure of all that water plus the elevation to push that down. Most times you're going to have somewhere around 35 pounds of pressure of water, and so that's how you can use your hoses and everything else. I think in an SHTF situation, as long as you're one of those first ones to get that water as it's coming out of the standpipe or out of the, I forget the word for what it's called, water tower, then, you're not going to have any water replaced in it, so you might not have pressure for that. Scott says, yeah, 1 gallon is about 8 pounds. Let me see. Hello, Craig Davis. Welcome. High Plains Drifter. Welcome. What a fantastic. I don't know if I ever told you, when I was in Monterey, one of the colonels, when I was in basic Indonesia in 1971, one of the colonels, Colonel Ellis, had a house on 17 Mile Drive, and he asked us if we'd babysit for him. So I went to the wrong house, knocked on the door, and it was the star of High Plains Drifter. And he said, no, he lives next doors. So one of the guys in my Indonesian class lived next doors to Clint Eastwood, and I knocked on his door. Yeah, stack up on sponges, on washcloths, on towels, on soaps. Make sure you have plenty of bars of soap as well as liquid soap. We have one of those 5-shelf white plastic shelving units in our laundry room, and because I'm allergic to formaldehyde and formoterol, which are the most common preservatives put in soaps and things like that. So my dermatologist gave me a list of only those soaps that I'm allowed to use. So when we find them, we buy them, and then we have this big, large shelving unit. So one shelf is nothing but sanitary, what are they called? Kitchen wipes and kitchen sprays and stuff like that. The Clorox wipes. The next shelf down is all hand sanitizer. Then the next shelf down is all laundry detergents. And the next shelf down is all bar soap that I can use, Dove primarily. And then the next one down from there is all 1 gallon soaps. And so the one that I use most often is lavender and something or other, soft soap. And no, coconut and ginger. Coconut and ginger is one of the ones that does not have the preservatives that I'm allergic to. Coconut and lavender and something else is another one of the ones, but we don't have as much of that. Let me see here. Here in Texas, I think it was in '97, in February, we had an ice storm the first week of February, and it knocked out the power for 3 days. You could not get anywhere. It was covered the streets. Just a horrendous ice storm the first week of February, 1997. The last week of February, we had 3 consecutive days over 100 degrees. So it's just something else. Yes, I agree. Sponge baths, spray bottles, water pitchers, all those kinds of things. And that way you're also able to make warm water. I will tell you that the Cambros, now Cambro is a 3.5 gallon, think of it as an igloo type dispenser, keeps things hot and cold things cold, and it has a spigot down at the bottom. I bought one Cambro set that it has a soap dispenser up top. It has a paper towel dispenser on it, and that clamps onto the top of the Cambro. And then down below, it has an extra long spigot. So instead of pulling on it from the top, you push on it from the bottom. And when you push on it from the bottom, that lets the water out onto your hands. And so that's what I was using for a hand washing station for my food service trailer. And, so that the people, the catastrophic adjusters could come in and wash their hands before they ate. Let me see. Oh yeah. So, and that's what I was talking about. There are two of them. There's this frogging company is the one that straps to the back of my backpack. It's got the little levers, or little carabiners. The other one I have that also is, but it's a lot larger, is the Goal Zero. So this one, this larger one, is the same thing, and it doesn't come with the carabiners, but it does come with handles and straps and everything else, so that you can affix it with bungee cords or anything like that to the back of your backpack and charge while you're walking. Either one of those two will do a good job of charging while you're walking. So why not do that? That makes sense. Okay, let's go back to, let me see here. Yes, I have an immersion wand, water heater, and then I have a single burner stove. And so we bought both of those. We also downgraded from a 12-cup rice cooker to a 4-cup rice cooker. So the smallest rice cooker they had, maybe it's even only a 2-cup. But we have got, we've got the immersion heater so we can make cups of coffee. We've got the electric hot plate, and then we've got an electric bread maker, and then we've got a rice cooker. So those are the things that we have electric for cooking in a post-SHTF environment. Wow. Yeah, so all of A American's survival books are set in the middle of Florida. And once you read the books, I'm sure I found everything he's talked about in the books, Umatilla and all this stuff. You can follow him basically on maps, Google Maps. So it's really great. Let me see here. Okay, back to here. So part of the problem you're going to have is human waste disposal. That's one of my biggest fears. So make sure you have some of this, either from contingency medical or from Jace, either one. Make sure you have antibiotics. I can't harp enough on and make sure you have plenty of electrolyte fluids, because if you get dysentery or cryptosporidiosis, God forbid, and you don't have the antibiotics and you don't have the stuff to replenish the electrolytes and the fluids in the body, then a person can dehydrate to death as a result of tainted water that's been exposed to fecal matter or urine. So you want to make sure you have good plans on what are you going to do to capture and eliminate fecal matter in urine. So we have two different luggable loos, and when we get done with the show, I'll put them in the show notes. They're available on Amazon, $30-$40. It's a 5-gallon bucket. It's got a seat on top of it. It's got some stuff you can put inside of it. I did the last time I bought some I think it's Rid-X, but I get the Walmart equivalent. But it's basically a chemical amoeba that helps you to cause septic tanks to compost the fecal matter. And so I buy that, and I have some heavy duty carpenter, what do you call them? Contractor trash bags. And then, so I have the heavy contractor trash bags. Inside of those, I have the regular kitchen garbage bags. So I'm going to take the fecal matter in the kitchen garbage bag inside the heavy duty contractor bag, so that if it breaks, then I'll have something to contain it. And then I put a little sprinkle, just a very little sprinkle of that stuff on top of your fecal matter. Then Eco Gel is a another one that you can use to not only help with the decomposition or the composting, but it also helps with the odor control, because that's going to be another issue for you. I get that from Rainy Day Foods, and so they still are trying. They still have theirs on clearance and at a sale price, less than $2 for a package that'll take care of 5 gallons. So rainydayfoods.com, and no, I don't get any commission for you going there. I just think that if you get your Eco Gel there, then that's good. That'll help you with the composting and with the odor. So make sure you have plans for how are you going to collect human waste. And so we have two. We have one for solids, fecal matter. We have one for urine. Urine's easier to dispose of than is fecal matter. So then we're going to take the fecal matter, take it out, and we're going to bury it outside, at least 100 yards away from the house. Think of how most of you have probably never been exposed to them. Think about the old outhouses. Most of those were at least 20 yards away from the house. And the one that my grandmother had was actually on the bank of a creek. We don't want to do that. We don't want to contaminate other people's drinking water. So we're going to keep it away from possible seepage into a drinking water area. But if you've got some sort of a natural area, a depression where you can put that and then bury it, that would be fantastic. So, and then also think about how you're going to wash your cooking utensils. So I got 3 of those tubs. So what I do is I start off with one tub is going to have the soap in it. The second tub is going to have nothing. It's going to be your first rinse. The third tub is going to have nothing. It's going to be your second rinse. So I use the soapy water. That's going to be your hot water all one day. Okay. When I'm done with all the dishwashing for that day, the soapy water gets dumped out. Okay. And then I put it back down. Then I'm going to take my first rinse water and put that into the soapy water container, so that now that first rinse is becoming my wash water. So I'll add a little bit of soap to it. My second rinse water will get poured into my first rinse tub, and then I'll add fresh water to my second rinse. So that way I'm constantly going through where I'm taking my cleanest water as the last rinse, and then as it gets dirty, I'm moving it into the wash water where it has the soap, and then you can dispose of it from there. So that's my plan for how I'm going to clean dishes. Let me see. If it weren't for the fact that it's out in the garage in a bucket, I would show you one. Yeah, the clay pot heaters, I have heard they aren't as effective unless you just do them perfectly well. These are the ones that burn on the teapot candles. I will tell you, my favorite, I don't want to dig down and get it. Right over here, I have the, what's it called? Anyhow, I'll put a link in here too. It is a heater, a black heater, and it runs off of the, I want to call them sterno, but it's not. It's safe for indoor use. And you get them at Sam's. And it's the same thing you use in service lines, food service lines, for the serving line, so that you have your steam table is kept at it's not cooking temperature, it's warming temperature. Well, those are safe for indoor use. So if you put 3 of those inside this machine, 2 of them provide the heat. The third one basically runs an electric catalytic fan. So the heat actually causes the fan to turn. So now you've got the heat from the other 2 candles being blown into the room. That's what we use during the ice apocalypse here in Texas. I showed it to some friends. I probably sold a dozen of those during the Ice Mageddon, and they were just absolutely fell in love with them. Okay, making soap as a kid. Great. That's something I'm going to have to learn. Let me get forward here a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Okay, let's see here. Sanitation is creating charcoal briquettes out of human feces that apparently burn longer than charcoal or firewood. The poop charcoal also creates less smoke and has no smell. So here's where we kind of get that from. In India, they use cow manure and they make what they call biomass fuel. So they'll take the cow manure and they'll mix it with grass, weeds, anything that's wood chips, wood carving, or whatever. And so what they do is then they'll soak that in water. After they soak it in water, they'll put it in a container and they'll press all the water out of it and they'll make little donuts out of it. That donut they'll then put out in the sun to bake for about 3 or 4 days. And as it bakes in the sun, it dries up. Then once it's completely dry, then you can use that as basically a charcoal in place of a charcoal briquette, and it becomes biomass fuel. And so, depending upon what you use in it, is how much odor it has. I have not yet made one. I've looked up the plans for how to make the press. I would love to start making biomass pellets or biomass donuts and having those available to me here. We've got grass clippings like you would not believe, during the months of March and April. But now the summer is starting to get hot, and so our grass will turn orange brown here very, very soon. And of course, we have watering restrictions, so that's about it. Mm. Manny, I'm only skipping over this one because I don't know what the conversation is, and so I'm not sure if everybody needed that. Okay, so some other things you've got to consider, and we're running over time now, so let me just give you a couple things I want you to consider. How are you going to dispose of solid waste, and not human waste, but solid waste? So the cans that you're going to be opening, the um, dirty water from washing. How are you going to get rid of the consumables, the paper plates, and all that kinds of stuff? So have a plan, get a plan on how you're going to get rid of what would normally be considered trash pickup, okay? Because you aren't going to have a sanitation company picking up your trash. So that may be a burn bucket. If you can get a 55-gallon burn bucket or a galvanized steel trash can or something, you're going to burn it in the backyard. You can try to turn some of that into biomass and use it, reuse it, recuperate it for cooking purposes. I don't know. You could flatten out the tin or the cans and use that to make shingles if you're going to add any extra sheds or anything like that. Just think, how are you going to dispose of the trash that you would normally have picked up by the sanitation department, and you're not going to have a sanitation department out there. So that's another one of those critical things you have to take into consideration. Then the last one I'll talk about that they very lightly touch on here in the book. They do talk an awful lot about making sure you have plans for how you're going to control insects, rodents. So you're going to have insecticides. You're also going to have insect repellent and things like that. Citronella candles if you're going to be outside during the dark. They talk about some other natural hygiene items, for example, licorice and ginger. And they say that licorice is very fibrous and can be used as a toothbrush. Um, it also helps with bad breath. Uh, so, and ginger, of course, it can be used for upset stomach. So there's all kinds of different things that are going to go on there. So consider what happens if you use baits or poisons for rodents, because you may be contaminating other things unintentionally that may be good that you want to eat. So just have a very well conceived plan on how you're going to take care of rodents and insects and things like that. I don't know if you know this or not, Craig. Here's an interesting one for you. We used to have what's called Field Station Berlin. It was one of our major intercept sites, and it was in Berlin, and it was mounted on top of what they call Teufelsberg. Teufel in German is the devil, and Berg is mountain. So it's Devil's Mountain. So what they did was all of the bodies and rubble that was left that they kind of took from the buildings that had been destroyed from the bombings and everything else, and the Soviets coming in on the eastern side. They took all that and they threw it in one big pile, and they call it Teufelsberg. So it's about 185 meters high mountain in the middle of Berlin. And so all those decomposing bodies in there, what they did was they tapped into the inner insides of Teufelsberg, and they have these gas pitons that basically absorb the decomposing bodies. And that's what they were using for quite a while to power the power plants. So they were using the gases, the hydrogen sulfide and all the other obnoxious gases that from decomposition as a flammable combustible to run their Energie aus Mühle, which is energy from trash and waste. So burning trash in a steel barrel, I think, is a great idea. I do just become aware there are a lot of lung issues in the military because we would we pooped into 55-gallon drums out in the field, and then if you that's how the term first sergeant shit list came about, was if you were on good terms with the first sergeant, if you did something wrong, but not bad enough to get non-judicial punishment, you got put on a shit list, which means that you were the guy that had to go out and take those 55-gallon cans out and then dump them into a pit and burn it. Well, it turns out that burning human waste with diesel fluid or diesel fuel, if you get too much of that, if you inhale too much of that smoke, it causes a certain disease. And so there's a lot of treatment now for people who were burning the poop in Vietnam and in Desert Storm especially. They do have some lung issues from that. So make sure you stay downwind from it. Oh gosh, I'm jealous. I wish I was on a farm. Okay, so let's see where we are here. Holly's back. And golly, I've heard we always say that everything's big in Texas and we've got the biggest mosquitoes. So my wife's nephew became an Alaska state trooper, and so he let us know, and he's from the San Angelo area, and so he called and let us know that the mosquitoes in Texas are not the biggest. They are definitely bigger in Alaska. Alaska has a lot larger insects than Texas does. Okay, so any other questions or comments before we call this a night? Let me get my Bible and we'll go to the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, and 26. And that says, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So do me a favor. Remember that this last Sunday was what we call Ascension Sunday. So 40 days after Christ died is when he ascended into heaven. And then he told us that he would send a paraclete, or the Holy Spirit, to guide us in his absence. And so this coming Sunday is what we call Pentecost Sunday. So that's 50 days after Jesus' death. And that's when we believe that the Holy Spirit came down and blessed us all with the ability to have Jesus with us even after he died. So remember, gosh, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for the wise information that you share. There are so many of you who have so many great skills and so willing to share such fantastic knowledge, and you share it with the other people. I can't tell you how much that means to me. So thank you very, very much for being here. I will see you tomorrow night. I don't know what the subject is yet. We will have a live tomorrow night. I got to determine a subject and then put it out there. What I am thinking about is basically, what are the first signs of what's going to happen, regardless of whether it's a war, civil war, financial downturn, martial law, anything like that. what are some of the things that we can see as indicators that give us an idea that we need to do things? And then what are some of the things we might want to put on our list of, this is what I need to do now before everybody else starts wanting to do the same thing? So that's where we'll be. Okay, remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because we got to get through this together. Togetherness is the key. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you. New subscriber. Let me see. What does it say? It says Enchanted Souls. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. Christina Green, good to see you as well. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Bye-bye.